You know what? I really think they should release a list. I think it's something we all should know because I don't want to be a big fan of a movie that I know a terrorist leader is a big fan of. I love A Walk to Remember. That was also Salman Laden's favorite movie too. That would, definitely be life-changing. I need to know. And I think all of America and the world deserves to know if we are, spanking the monkey. Well, I know, it's just a pun. Just a pun. If we're spanking the monkey into something that had some a lot of spanking the monkey, or if our favorite adult star is also his. I think that really be emotionally shocking to a lot of people, and I think it's something that's not really being talked about. Forget Epstein's list. I want to know what's Salman Laden's list. What's skeletons are in those closets? What's not being talked about? I think it's a big thing the government's trying to hide, and the more they keep trying to censor it, the more I'm thinking there might be something to it. Maybe that recent adult star that's gone after Trump, maybe that was one of Salman Laden's big faves. And maybe they don't want that coming out. Maybe it might change a lot of stuff. Stormy Daniels, yeah, that's her name. I can't remember that. Thinks monkey. Yeah, maybe she was one of Salman Laden's big number one faves. And if that truth came out, it really hurt the trial. What are they not telling us? And I hope, if whoever becomes the next president, that they declassify that. It should be one of their number one things. I think we all could use a little closure. I think a lot of people out there deserve to know the truth. But and this is purely joking aside. I'm not a big Salman Laden fan or anything crazy like that. I don't want you to be like, really, this is really insensitive. I'm purely joking, and if you can't understand that, then maybe you're the problem. You're what's ruining this country. That's right, monkey. Get upset. In all seriousness, I do think it would be worth a good chuckle, and that would be absolutely hilarious if all of a sudden, a few months from now, they release a list telling us what all of a sudden Laden's favorite movies and stuff were. I think everybody around the world would just be kind of shaking their heads. Yeah, just wondering why the hell that's important. But it's I think very much so something that should be talked about. But hey, spread the word. It needs to be talked about more around the water cooler. Definitely bring this up with your coworkers. We need to get the word out there. We need to start putting pressure on the government. Get this list revealed. We deserve to know. We need that closure. Are you happy, monkey? Okay. We talked about some of his favorite stuff. He loves this. He's eating it up. So let's go ahead and jump into the next little segment here. I'm going to step on my soapbox for a minute. And that's a normal response I would expect. Yeah, monkey seems very upset and annoyed. And I'm sure some of you might be. It might not be your favorite segment, or this might be, you may agree with a lot of what I have to say. And you may like this a lot. But I kind of really honestly want to talk about the comic book industry and really comic book writing as a whole. It's just very bland and boring right now. There's not really any interesting stories coming out. There's not really anything interesting being done. And no one's really talking about anything going on in the comic industry. And a lot of it comes down to writing. It's bland. It's boring. And I think pinpointing a big issue is they're so worried about, and Marvel is especially really bad about this, everything's got to be connected. You can't just have a Daredevil story be a Daredevil story, or a Spider-Man story be a Spider-Man, or Hulk, or X-Men. Nobody can just have their own story. Everybody's got to be interwoven and interconnected. Whatever's going on in Spider-Man has to affect Daredevil, or, Hulk, or X-Men. Even though some of these characters very seldom even interact with each other, they still has to be some big aftermath or big effect that gets, pushed into each character's comic book story. And no one cares. If I'm reading Hulk, I want to read Hulk. I don't care about how Hulk was affected by what went on with Spider-Man in issue 15, or how Hulk was affected by what happened with the X-Men when they were fighting Magneto in issue 34, 35, and 36. No one has time to read everybody's stories. They just want to read the character they want to read. And that's a big turnoff. And it's one of the big reasons why a lot of people go to mangas or the mangas, and just even the anime stuff is even really popular, because I can pick up a manga in issue 1 and read it all the way through, and I don't have to interconnect it to some other story or read something else to kind of have a good idea of what's going on. I can just pick up 1 and go straight to 2 and 3 and so on. But you can't really do that in comic books. You pick up issue 1, you may be completely confused on what's going on because you didn't read the backstory of so-and-so, or didn't know about the aftermath or big, story plot that they were pushing that everybody got sucked into. And it's just very frankly annoying for anybody who's an avid comic book reader to anybody who's just wanting to get into comic books. If somebody asked me, hey, what would be a great series to start for Spider-Man, or what would be a good issue to start on, I would tell them don't read any of it, because if you haven't read Spider-Man 1, you're going to have no idea what's going on when you get to Spider-Man number 800, or so on. Especially if you haven't read any of the other Spider People stories, you're not going to know anything about what's going on even in issue 1. And that's just a really sad thing, and it's turning off a lot of customers. If you go to comic book stores, comic books are up to like $6 for just an issue, where it used to be $3 10 years ago, and even further back than that, $1, 50 cents, 25 cents. Comic books have gotten insanely, stupidly expensive. And if you're jumping into a character's story for the first time and you're paying $6 or $7 for an issue and you don't even know what the hell is going on, it's very frustrating. But also, story writing now is so focused on the plot twist 10 issues down the road, or the big reveal a couple issues down the road, that they're not focusing on writing a story right here and then, I should say. And that's frustrating. Just give us a beginning, a middle, and end. I don't need a beginning, a middle, and a cliffhanger, and then another cliffhanger, and then another cliffhanger, and then the big shocking reveal. That's annoying. If you can't even get somebody to read past issue 1 and 2, how can you expect them to get all the way to issue 5 or 6? And there's a reason why a lot of comic books now are constantly being rebooted after just 30 issues, or in some cases, they're just ending after 5, because they're so focused on that reveal that even if the people do get all the way to issue 5, if the payout isn't all that great, you're going to be really ticked, and you're not going to be willing to buy any further comic books for that series, or maybe even comic books from that company at all. DC's bad about it. Marvel's bad about it. Image. There was a Valiant, Dark Horse. There's a bunch of them. They're all very bad about this. Isn't it just a DC or Marvel thing? They're all very bad about this. Marvel especially, you notice this a lot with how they do their movies. That also bleeds into how they do their comic books. If you want to know what's going on with the new Captain America movie and you haven't watched any of the other 50-something superhero films that Marvel's put out, you're not gonna understand certain references or who certain characters are, or even a villain's backstory, and that's frustrating as a moviegoer. Now imagine a comic book industry where there's a whole catalog of thousands of comic books that you've never read, and if you haven't read them all, God help you, you're not going to know what's going on. And it's something I wish we would get away from. Get back to telling just a story as it should be told, with a beginning, middle, and end. Just like how somebody would write a book, you don't write a book for the cliffhanger. You give somebody the general story that they want. And if they want to read more, they can. But if they don't ever pick up a second issue or third issue, they're still given a satisfying story. And that's what we need to get back to. And I know, Monkey, I'm rambling. I'll wrap it up. Monkey's got a short attention span, as some of you may also have short attention spans. Yeah, just kind of wrap it up. Get back to just telling a decent story. Superhero loses a power, has something bad happen to him. They overcome the obstacle and they save the day. Just get back to that, man. Get back to telling good stories. That's all we want. In the end, we just want to be entertained. you can do a part one, a part two, and so on, or a big event. I do want to emphasize that you can still do that.